Hi, Adam. It's very nice to have you here. Thanks for taking time um, to get interviewed and to share some lessons on working on your project and also working together with us, Pagepro. I have a lot of questions, so thanks for courage and energy to do that on Friday. So let's start with short introduction. Please let us know and our audience who you are, what is Proved, what you are doing, what is Proved doing, what you are doing at Proved, and where the Proved is heading. What's the vision?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, and always good to talk with you, Chris. So yeah, as you mentioned, our company is Proofed. We essentially provide curated editorial services to companies who produce content. So we have two main, you could say ICPs, but I suppose like subcategories of that. Companies where content is core to their business, so e-learning, financial services where they're producing large reports, legal, medical, huge content creating industries. Also content marketing, where they're putting out a lot of blog articles or SEO content. And then we work with a lot of marketing teams who are producing content in their day-to-day operations, really to support them in creating a more efficient editorial model. So we curate a team of editors. We have a team of over 750 editors, and we curate a team specifically for each client based on exactly what their needs are. So what kind of content they're needing to be edited or proofread or fact-checked. And we create a really slick process where the content comes in. We have a team that scales as per their business's needs. And then we edit, proofread, fact check that content and send it back to the client. So it's kind of a classic, perfect outsourcing use case as we're more efficient, more cost effective, very heavily specialized. And the traditional editorial process can be quite cumbersome, slow, and inefficient. So, and then really, I founded the company with a co-founder, and I'm currently CEO, but we're bootstrapped. So I suppose a lot of those classic CEO responsibilities don't fall so much onto us. So I also spend a lot of time supporting the marketing team and supporting the sales team, and also with technical development. So that's kind of, my role.
Nice. I see Proved as a digital native company. So without digital, without technology, this company couldn't exist. And I think this company also couldn't exist without the project we are working together right now. Can you say something about this project?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're completely right. I think obviously we're on a very different scale, and we are serving a very different user base. But at the heart of our operations is an order management system. And I suppose probably the most infamous order management system is Uber's order management system. They get a request for a driver, that request comes in, they need to find the right driver in the right location and assign that work to the driver. And their order management system facilitated their growth and success as an organization. And we're exactly the same. So, we have a curated team of editors for every company, but really they can send in very large volumes of content. Some companies are sending up to 1,000 pieces of content a week. And then there's companies who are sending, 1 or 2 articles a week. But either way, we need to get that content to the right editor, and them to be providing the correct services and sending that content back, making sure it's reviewed, checked, quality controlled. And that's one of the reasons why the traditional editorial service is inefficient, is because there's no one standardized process. And a lot of that is being done via email, even via hard copies and paper. And all of that takes time and effort. So as a company, the technology that we're utilizing, our order management service system, is critical to our success and gives us huge operational efficiency. And it means that we're more of a tech-led services company than a traditional services company. And the application that you're talking about, Chris, so we had a legacy application that was the first kind of implementation of that order management system. And we learned a huge amount from doing that. We learned what worked, what didn't. We started really as a direct consumer business, editing individuals' pieces of content before we really understood the need for B2B editorial services. And our new system, so that's kind of our legacy system. Our new system is the evolution of that system into really an enterprise level, scalable B2B order management system for editorial services.
Okay. You mentioned the legacy system. I understand this was the first system that you also made for yourself. So it was a custom solution. And after some time, you decided to go more enterprise level. But what were the main symptoms or flags on the old system that you decided, okay, this is the time, we need to switch it or we need to change it, and why you couldn't just improve the old system?
Yeah, so I think because the old system was very much an evolution, there wasn't a solid set of foundational architectural principles or a vision for the platform from day one. And I think that meant that there was a natural limit to how much we could develop that system and change it without essentially totally reinventing the wheel. And I think we appreciated that. There were definitely some red flags with some issues we had internally that maybe kept recurring, or scalability issues, system performance, that when we started looking into how we could improve those, there were major system overhauls. And it was built in, the front end application was built in PHP. And I think there were much more suitable languages that enabled a lot more functionality that we were seeing being built in other applications. So when we thought about the vision of this new OMS, we looked at the different technology stacks that were available. We have an amazing head of architecture who's incredibly experienced, working out of Nevada. And he really did the analysis of the tech stack and said, this is where we want to go to create a system that can deal with a huge amount of scale. So that was the stepping stone to say, okay, we want a new system. We then very much took a design-led approach to that, which is less traditional, I think, than most companies that are doing requirement elicitation for an MVP. We visually designed the system in parallel with the architectural design of the back end to make sure it's scalable and efficient. And the UI has been like a critical component of our roadmap, making sure that our team and our customers are really happy using it, and that's a seamless experience. And that, because every second counts in editorial, and the process needs to be really efficient, so does the UI. We didn't want a clunky kind of classic customer service representative UI that caused delays or wasn't thought through really from a customer-centric perspective. So even our team's UI, we really thought about the team as being the customers of the platform and tried to design and develop something that is really leading the way in terms of an order management system.
Okay, that's very interesting. Also, I was up to ask about the main stages of the project, but you already started that. That's great. But can you also tell me something about the team structure? Who is working on the project? How the big team is, and what roles do you have in the team?
Yeah, of course. So I already touched on our enterprise kind of head of architecture. We had a development team internally that was supporting that the back end, the internal application. And we had a couple of resources at the beginning that were a couple of team members. There were more contractors that were able to provide some front end development. But I think early on we realized that, we're a startup. We want to make sure we're agile. We wanted to be able to scale quickly, potentially up and down. And I think that all led to the realization that the front end development, we didn't really have the skills in place internally to do that ourselves. We saw it as a bit of a risk to try and hire those skill sets when we don't have the right pathways for those individuals, other individuals for those people to learn from, the right mentoring and framework for them, especially being a very remote team. We're globally dispersed. So I think we tried to create a structure whereby we utilized the skill sets that we had, really strong internal team members, to keep them internal, and then outsource, to Pagepro, the front end development in an encapsulated capacity, so that there was a responsibility there from Pagepro to deliver it, but working very closely with our team in terms of requirement solicitation, roadmap planning, all of the kind of software delivery lifecycle stuff. So that's kind of how the decision came around, and that's a little bit of our structure. Internally, we have, on top of the back-end development team, working with the Pagepro team, we have an amazing UX designer, a project manager, essentially a business analyst, and a kind of technical bridge between the back-end and front-end teams. So, and then on the Pagepro side, we have a couple of developers, a lead developer and a UI developer. We have another developer that works alongside them, and we have a tester as well. And that structure's worked really well for us. And, hopefully at some point we'll scale up that team too. But right now it's kind of at the perfect cadence where, the whole team needs to function as one. We can't have a development team running away with coding. We need the requirements to be ready, the designs to be ready, the back-end architecture to be ready. And at the moment, that is all working really well with that team size. So right now that's functioning incredibly smoothly.
Okay. Can you name some tactics that you have to make sure everyone works as one team? I know that multiple people are working from different countries, time zones. They're from different continents even. So how you make sure that it's working well for you?
Yeah, so I think probably the number one thing I would say that we do as a team is the communication and project management framework. So we're, as you know, Chris, we're utilizing the agile sprint-based framework. I think of it as more of a communication framework than a project management framework. And I think, especially being a remote team, that's really critical. And that enables us to all be in sync all the time. So it's not just the development team that joins the agile sessions. It's also our UX designer joins, our tester joins, the other representatives I spoke about, the business analyst, everybody else. So everybody is always on the same page. We're in 2-week sprint cycles, which seems to be about the right cadence for us. And we have great frequent refinement sessions, retrospectives, estimations, and daily stand-ups. And all of that enables us to work really efficiently. I'd say that is the number one thing that allows the project to be successful outside of the team that are working on it. So, I know there are other frameworks that work just as well. But for us, it's been a really positive experience.
Nice, great. We from Pagepro side, we are also trying to suggest the best coding standards for the project, tool sets for the project. So, for example, I think team is still using GitHub Copilot make sure some automated code reviews can be done without bothering whole team.
And linting as well, some code linting stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, a unified coding language. So I think all of that really benefits too. It's obviously a bit more technical, but I think it's critical. We've also kind of backed up that unified kind of approach from a technical perspective with a unified design approach too, which I think the team really likes. So, we have a data dictionary on the technical side. We have certain diagrams and documents that are the foundational principles of what we're trying to build. But also from a UX side, we have a playbook, a design framework that we can dip into and understand immediately how dropdown should look. It's a component library, but it's been a fundamental piece to ensuring consistency, reusability, that we're not unnecessarily adding new additional complexity. So I think both on the technical side and on the less technical side, those unified frameworks are all gains. Some of them are more marginal, some of them are huge, So I think, and I know the team love using Copilot and have found it really useful and definitely get efficiency out of that too. So across the board, I think that's been great. We also had a really great process of automating deployments that, it's always difficult to set up really smooth deployment processes, especially when you have a full set of environments like we do. But the team's done a great job on that, and that is now working, really smoothly. And that's really helped us as well.
Nice. Okay, I also know that you have a great skill or feeling to decide which type of work you outsource and which type of work and skills you have in-house, because you have some core competencies, core internal skills that you need to keep in the company, and some you're outsourcing. So do you have any recommendations how to set the barrier? What is the border where you're outsourcing or hiring in-house or switching?
I think there's some prerequisites that need to be true. One is that the development agency has to be high quality, right? Because obviously the team members, it's critical. The communication is super critical. So assuming there's a great agency that's able to do development for you or provide, a full set of different team members and roles, then I think how we think about it is that it's nice to have an area of responsibility. It's nice for that area to be encapsulated. It's good to have those team members working alongside each other and, within that agency, so that they're familiar with how they work. And that way, the agency can bring in their own knowledge, skill set. One thing that's great about working with Pagepro is that you guys are always learning. You're always, taking time to do professional development, and you're constantly going away and you're doing sessions together, and you're bringing things back to the table that that make sense for our project. And I think if for us, if we just had a single developer or something like that, we get less out of that. Whereas having your team be the SMEs on the React framework, having a very clear ownership with the lead developer being on your side there too, that means that you have a clear set of responsibility. You have a clear set of expectation when it comes to your knowledge and the skill set that you're bringing to the table. And I think that's worked really well for us. I know there are teams that maybe don't have those other roles that we were talking about previously, requirements, business analysts to do requirement elicitation, UX designers, project managers. And I think in that scenario, it can be really reassuring to have a development team externally provide those functions too, because it can be really difficult to hire for those roles. It can be really difficult to find a team that can gel together. We've got that with your team, and it's been excellent. But that's not always the case. So I think in that scenario, testing a relationship on an MVP on something that is, a little bit smaller to make sure that the service provider is the right service provider for you, and that they're meeting your expectations, and that you're happy with, the rate of delivery and the working relationship would be my recommendation. I think there's, a plethora of approaches to outsourcing development, but I think making sure that you're testing that relationship and not overcommitting, not defining too many of the requirements up front is a key component.
Okay, thanks. Maybe I will cut the next section off, but I think also important is the size of the company.
Yes.
Because we as 40 people company and assigning couple of a team for you, we can have just I don't know, 6 maybe 8 customers. So each customer is very important for us. So we need to put a lot of attention to make sure you're happy and you're continue working together. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think that that's absolutely critical. I think it's one thing that your team does really well, and it feels very much like an extension of our team. I know we're referring to you in this conversation as an agency or a vendor or an outsourced service provider, but really the team feels like they're a part of the team. And I think that's something that's critical too, because you need trust, you need, to understand people and have empathy with them as well. And that only comes really when you feel like they're a part of your team. So I think investing that time and effort into the relationship is super critical.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let's now talk a bit about this project success or failure. I hope it's a successful project. But do you see some business results from this project? Do you have some positive feedbacks?
We've definitely had a lot of positive feedback. Yeah, I think probably in terms of the impact to the business, the most impact to the business we will see over the next 12 months as we really start to onboard partners onto the new platform. So we have about 50 core businesses that we're working with that we want to migrate onto the platform. And at the moment, we're using the new application, the new system for content that is being edited outside of the Proofed ecosystem. And we're very close to releasing a client area to allow for the content to be edited within the Proofed ecosystem. And that means that we can migrate the majority of our clients onto the platform. Once we see that, we start getting a lot of economies of scale, and we start getting huge business benefits to the OMS. At the moment, it's difficult because we're juggling a legacy system and a new system, and that has its own challenges and inefficiencies. So we're really excited about that transition period to wholly using the new system for business clients. And I believe that is really when we're going to see the business benefits.
Okay, thanks. I also think that you are having a great timing with this project. Currently, because this project started 1 year ago or maybe 2 years ago, and currently, it's 2024. The last year was called Year of Efficiency. The cash is expensive. So in this year, it might be harder to decide for a company like you, let's build a new product that is going to, bring some ROI in next 2 years or something like that. So I think you started before this bit tougher times in economy, and I think it was a good timing.
Totally agree. Yeah, I wish I could say that was something that I foresaw, and I had the intelligence to identify that, but I didn't. I think it was probably a little bit more luck than judgment. But we had a need. I think we knew, irrespective of what was going on economically, or startup environment wise, or business environment wise, that this is core to our. It's so core to our business. It's just it makes sense for us to invest in it. And I think there's lots of efficiencies that we knew that we can gain that our current system didn't allow. So it's the biggest investment we've ever made as a company, this application. So it's one of our biggest bets. And I think you're totally right. If we're managing content at huge volume, so every little efficiency we gain, right? And since we started the project, where there was a lot more focus on growth, irrespective of its sustainability and the number of users that you've got, and we've really never had that approach to the business. We want to deliver a great service. We want to grow sustainably. We're happy to grow really quickly, but only if we're delivering a service that is matching what we're currently delivering. And I think the idea is the system facilitates that, and it really will facilitate our growth. And obviously, if we can do it the more efficiently we can do it, the more competitive the price we can offer as well. The happier our clients are, the less errors, and our business is obviously all about reducing errors. So I think overall, it just makes a lot of sense for us. But certainly, I think there's a lot of companies now that are looking at, their roadmap, thinking, okay, well, we should be looking at efficiencies, optimizing our business, rather than, acquiring customers at any cost.
Yes. Okay, so that was a good bet. What other bets do you have for the future? Because there's a AI trend. I think this modern system is also better positioned for the future, because it's easier to integrate it and easier to add new features and react to all of the trends and situations.
Absolutely, yes. So we designed the OMS. It's essentially a workflow management system, right? But the workflow is around an order, and the workflows that we've designed essentially are there's freedom within a framework. So that enables us to to drag and drop any process within the workflow, whether that's before one of our team edits content or afterwards. And as you said, with all of the advancements in technology, with AI and in other ways too, that flexibility is critical. If we can pre-identify issues that our team can then check, great. We're working with a lot of clients that are producing content, AI generated content, and then we're editing that content, fact checking it, humanizing it, reviewing it to make sure there's nothing in there which is problematic. And that's a growing part of the business too. And having a really flexible system, workflow wise, where we can, include checks and balances that are automated, potentially include AI based workflows, but always have that human component too. It is critical to make sure that we're, that we're competitive moving forwards.
Great. Okay, so that's it from the official part. Maybe just one last thing, if you want to say hi or thanks for specific members from Pagepro team, is the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think especially, we've got a great team at Pagepro. We've got 3 team members currently that have been on the project for a good amount of time, and a relatively new lead developer that has done an incredible job. So Malik's been with us since day one on the project, and he's really been fundamental in the UI development. He's an excellent developer, and he's very detail oriented when it comes to UI. And that's back to what we were talking about before, like that's really critical for us, and we've really enjoyed working with Marek because of that. Raphael was the next into the fold on the testing side, and he's very pragmatic, also very detail oriented, which is important for a tester. He's a really strong communicator, and it always has a smile on his face as well. So I think we've got a great tester there. And then Camille, who took over from our previous lead developer on the Pagepro side, has just been great from day one. He's leading the team. He's really kind of taken that role on with a lot of responsibility, and he's done a great job. He's a great problem solver, and thinks outside of the box, and also thinks about the bigger picture, and that's really helped us too. So yeah, we're super happy with our team at the moment, and yeah, maybe there'll be some expansion in the future. We'll have to see how we go, but yeah, so yeah, shout out to the team for sure.
Okay, great.